the brand new album by Coheed and Cambria. Vaxis Act 3, The Father of Make Believe, is the 11th studio album by American progressive rock band Coheed and Cambria. It was released on March 14th, 2025. It continues the Armory Wars storyline, their sci-fi comic book novel world, whole thing. That is a major focus of the majority of their albums. I do believe, with the exception of one album, every single album of theirs tries to evolve or continue the story of this Armory Wars, which is... We could talk about that a bit later, but that's interesting. Anyways, Eric, your thoughts on this album?
So I didn't know that this band still exists, and then looking at their history, it looks like they've actually been consistently coming out with stuff.
Yep.
So typical Coheed and Cambria, I think that you can't they do have songs that stick out, especially in their earlier catalog. But if you really want the full Coheed and Cambria experience, you should be listening to their albums as a whole, because there's always a theme or an underlining tone or a storyline to each of them. So I've been out of the game for a while with Coheed and Cambria. So apparently Act 3, I didn't know there was Act 2 or 1. So so I feel like there was a little bit of a loss in starting with 3, coming from my end of things.
Right.
And I didn't get a chance to go back and see it because I feel like there was a lot to unpack with this album. I don't know why, and I got the feeling at the beginning, and I know last week we had some cancellation stuff because of work stuff that came up, but I listened to this album a lot, and it definitely has a very loss, I've lost people in my life kind of feel to it, and kind of dealing with emotional stress and your mental health and stuff, which is kind of unique. But from the first time I've listened to it till now, I can't seem to go away from this, and I don't know whether maybe it's just my stubborn brain, but it feels almost like this could be a darker Disney album, or a darker Disney musical kind of thing, where it's a little bit for the older kids that are verging into 14 or 15 years old, who are starting to understand these kind of concepts. But definitely too dark for toddlers and stuff like that.
Interesting. That's an interesting take, because there's comic books and novels around this, and you generally lump comic books with sort of the adolescent teenager age group, right? So
now I pictured the perfect song is self-titled album, The Father of Make Believe, that song. I just pictured the main character just singing on this cliff edge or something like that, and it's cartooned and everything like that, right? So I really got a sense of that. There were some great... I thought that the opening of the album was really cool. It was really kind of dark and ominous, and then it kind of but it felt I don't know if it's finished, because I feel like there's going to be an Act 4. That's what I was left with
right
at the end of this. I don't know if you felt that too.
Yep.
But this is definitely in a movie, or if any storyline, this is the climax, and it's almost at the end, and it's coming down to the end. So that's where it felt like it was for me. So I am interested to go back and see Act 2 and 1 just to get the story, because I feel like there's a cool underlining story in this album that I really kind of dug.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's sort of weird jumping into quote unquote Act 3 from a storyline perspective, because it does seem like this band is very narrative driven. If they've committed 10 albums roughly to a specific world that they've created. So there's definitely like a plot through line that we're definitely missing by not listening to the other stuff. Um, but I actually love this album. Like, as much as
Mhm.
I obviously did not get the full story, like, I really enjoyed listening to this album. I have a few complaints that we could talk about a bit later, but like
Mhm.
overall, man, like some of these songs, Welcome to Forever Mr. Nobody, I was like, that's a fucking
That's a cool song.
I was like, that's a freaking ridiculous title. But when they start singing that line, I'm just like, this is super catchy. Like, who is Mr. Nobody? I don't know, but this is so compelling. Uh, like these songs are just like, and it's like progressive rock too. So it's just like, not only is there a narrative going through it, but there's parts where you're like, oh shit, how did they fit that like halftime section in there? Or like, oh, how did they change that riff in there? Like, there were like cool
Mhm.
musical moments in here also, which is, I found that like so fascinating. They were able to do that. I guess full context, like I've never listened to Coheed and Cambria. I know of the band.
Mhm.
Obviously, growing up, they were like a decently big band, but I never really listened to them. So this is technically my first instance with them. But
Mhm.
I really dug this album. Even like the second track, Goodbye Sunshine, I think that is like it's just
Mhm.
so catchy, and it's the one earworm that I like after the album. I was like, yeah, that's the song. I don't think it's the best
I
song on the album, but it's the earworm song.
I definitely agree with you, and I think just to add on to that, that transition from the first kind of like that instrumental
Mm,
to the second song, it was very like it was almost like it was like taking off from Act Two. Like I can just see it. Like obviously I don't know anything about the Act Two, but it is almost just like that perfect transition between that album into this new
mhm.
master. Like I wouldn't say masterpiece, but it's it was yeah, it just kind of brings you right back into that world. It's like watching a movie, like the third installment of a movie,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're just like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's what happened last time." Like I didn't get that because I don't know what happened in the previous
Hmm.
part, but
Hmm.
but I do agree with you. That is definitely the earworm song, and I think the transition from the first song to that was perfect.
Yeah, like the transitions between these songs, like on paper, I don't think they make a lot of sense because if you think about it,
Hmm.
like the first track is that moody sort of piano, partially instrumental type of song. And then it kicks into Goodbye Sunshine, which I would say is way more punk rock than anything
Hmm.
else on the record. I'm like, that's a weird, like when I think about it, I'm like, that's a weird transition. But then when I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, this kicks ass.
Hmm. No, it definitely does. And see, the problem with Coheed and Cambria is this is a band where I don't know, like, catch me if I'm wrong. I know the fans are going to tell me that I'm wrong, but I've never seen these guys live. I have listened to their earlier stuff, like when they first started coming out. So I do know that they're very story driven
Mm,
as a band, but I don't know if I would see these guys live because if you saw them live, I feel like they're kind of pigeonholed into
right.
playing an album, right? Because like their hits and stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but uh, I can see them coming out with like a motion picture for this album,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Like a Disney thing. Like I don't know, Disney, give us a cut if you if you decide to do that because you heard it here first.
Yeah, no, definitely
But
this is, yeah, very soundtracky. Yeah.
because I can it, what's cool about this band is you can listen to an album and it's almost like reading a book
Yes.
where you're kind of visualizing these characters in your mind, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is very narrative, very story driven. Yeah, it's rare to have a band like this. Like on one hand, I'm like, you guys are insane for like committing a career to like one storyline, but
Hmm.
on the other hand, it's like if you really believe in it, like good on you. That's like impressive.
Like I could see years down the road when this band like dies,
Mm.
right? And I'm talking about like maybe decades down the road, like we're not going to be even existing anymore. but I can see them making like folklore tales about it, like movies and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and be like, oh yeah, like look at this ancient text of Coheed and Cambria, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I really actually no, I have to talk about this. Overall, I really like the album. The only problem I had with it really is the final track. The Continuum 4, So It Goes. I really hated that song. It was as soon as I heard it, I was like, this is the Beatles. This is definitely Beatles inspired.
Yeah, that's a you know what? I couldn't put my finger on it, but yeah, it was
Yeah, I
so
was like,
you
this
that's so
is like
true.
this is a Beatles song. And I
Mhm.
hated it. I couldn't listen to it. Every time it came up, I was like, I'm skipping this song. That was sort of a bummer for me because I was like, it's the closer of the album, and like that's the last impression you give me. I was like, this is garbage. But I really
Mhm.
hated that song, the closer.
Do you think I guess it's hard with an album like this, but do you think that there's another song that could be the closer
Ooh,
or just cut out the last song?
I personally would have cut out that song. Tethered Together though is not a closer to. I think you need a different song. I don't think I would. I wouldn't change anything about the track listing. I would literally just take out 14 and write a new song. I think that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you take out the whole the continuum, like all 4 tracks, and end it on track 10. Someone Who Can.
Mm,
I would potentially
I
do
see.
that, but then you're missing out on 3 like really great songs.
That's very true.
But
Because
also,
I kind of
yeah.
recall, like, yeah. Now that you mention it, I'm just listening to like a little bit of it here. It kind of is like a Sergeant Pepper kind of
Yes. Yeah.
vibe,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because like there's so much going on in this album that's great,
Hmm.
and I think personally, and I haven't listened to the like I guess the middle, but of Coheed and Cambria's catalog. But I think that this is up there with their style, and I would consider this a really good album compared to what I've listened to.
Mm.
So yeah, ending it on that track, you're right. It is not. It's not the especially with what the rest of the album has to offer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like I really hated the closing track. On the other hand, my counter argument to that is like if there was a part 4, maybe it makes sense within context, right? Like they
Mhm.
just decided to splice it here, and then you have to listen to act 4 to like appreciate what So It Goes is and why it's there. But as a just an isolated album, like I really hated this track as the closer.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it ended well,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Eric. Final thoughts, ratings. What are you going to give this one?
I'm gonna give this an oh man, I'm on the verge of giving it a 9 out of 10
Ooh. Okay.
because I really enjoyed it because it not only did it have a cool storyline to it, and I know that this is not for everybody. Like people
Oh
just
yeah.
want to listen to music and like I guess we should talk about that, but people don't like they just want to listen to good music and that's it.
Hmm.
They don't want to like overthink things. That is the majority of what people
Yeah.
want to do,
People don't
right?
want to know the backstory of every single character in every
Mhm.
song, what the character had for breakfast. But like,
Which I
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Yeah. But it takes music to a completely different level when you can tell a story and have this theme and have this world,
yep,
right? Because like usually when you think of that, it's all through books like trilogies or movies
yep,
or whatever, right? So like it's very rare that music does that, and it's kind of cool that it does because it can be like that. It's almost like a Broadway kind of thing, right?
yep.
Um, So, you know what? Fuck it. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I
Okay,
think that
nice.
this is cool, and any fan out there that's a Coheed and Cambria fan, like true diehard fans, I want you to tell me, like, I am interested in listening to Act 1 and 2
Mm.
of this, just to see the flow of this. And do you fans think that there's going to be an Act 4?
I'm sure they all have a theory. I'm pretty sure they all have a theory. As
Hmm.
a non-Coheed and Cambria fan, I say there has to be, just because I don't think the album ended well. I think there needs to be a
Hmm.
closer. So if
And
I
that's the thing. Did they do it on purpose?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
did they
maybe.
just.
Yeah, it's possible, right?
Mhm.
Like within context, maybe that song does make sense, but as it stands, like I did not like that as a closer. Um, yeah, actually, no, I'm on the same page as you. I'm like a 9 out of 10 for this record. I think it is a great record. It has a storyline that's compelling through the whole thing, and it's very rare that this type of like narrative record is ever written. So it's like big
Mhm.
props there. I just didn't like the closer, so I have to deduct 1 point.
Mhm.
But if it wasn't for that, like it would be a perfect record, because I can't.
Mhm.
I look at the track listing and like I wouldn't rearrange anything. Like these songs, I wouldn't. I thought they were all like kick ass songs. It's just that closer. It's like it's sort
See,
of yeah ruined quote unquote the album because it didn't end well.
I just had a thought, and our ratings are locked in, so it's not going to affect our ratings. But I'm wondering if they had this like Beatles kind of Sergeant Pepper vibe to it, because it was almost like this album had like a lot of hardship, a lot of mental health,
Hmm.
like
Yep.
struggles, and a lot of loss. So I'm wondering if it's like at the end, it's almost like they're on this high. The characters are like, "Oh, everything's good," and then it gets shit again. Like it's
Mm.
almost like this delusion, like, "Oh, everything's fine," and then Act 4 kicks in, and then it's like, and then it finally closes. Who knows? There could be more acts other than Act 4, but.
Yeah. No, that would be an interesting concept, but yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we'll just have to see. Perhaps Act 4 does come out later this year, and in our year end review, we'll adjust this to a 10.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. Um, but, anyways, nines across the board for us. It's a good album.
Mhm.
Definitely not for everyone. But if you're down
No,
for like a narrative album, it's a pretty good one. It's very good.
absolutely.
Okay, that was our discussion on Act 3, The Father of Make Believe by Coheed and Cambria. For those of you following along with us every single week, the album that we are going to be discussing will be Who Believes in Angels by Brandy Carlisle and Elton John, their brand new album.
Ooh.
So that's a duet album. The album cover is atrocious.
It's terrible.
It looks insane.
That is awful.
Yeah, it's not good.
That
But
is something you find at a souvenir store at like the country you're visiting. Like, welcome to Colombia.
but yeah, that'll be the album that we'll be discussing next week. Short turnaround actually.
Mhm.
That's it for the podcast, but we will be back on our Monday schedule. So Monday here at twitch.tv/ the Crossroads Music Podcast at 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT. Catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, all the places where you get your podcasts. Eric, anything else we need to bring up before we close this all off?
I think that's it, man. You nailed it.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. That was great. We'll talk to you all next week, and we'll be maybe we'll bring up Cowboy Carter one more time.